Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thanks for joining me here on Talk and Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today. And for those who are familiar with these QR codes up in the top corner there, I've got a little bit of beer me happening. So if you feel free, it is a Friday, go ahead and beer me in the immortal words of Homer Simpson. All right, let's get started with actually just some fresh news that just popped into my inbox here out of California, Long Beach. New company, it looks like. Campanovo Sports is proud to announce a newly established alliance in the world of sports entertainment with the launch of an electrifying new boxing series called New Blood. This groundbreaking series is set to debut with its first event on Saturday, September 9th at the prestigious Infinite Reality Studios in Long Beach, California, formerly known as Thunder Studios. So look forward to hearing more from them in that regard. Now, back to, shall we say, the normal world of boxing, because it's going to begin with Eddie Hearn. Courtesy of my buddy Jake Tiernan over BoxingNews24.com. Eddie Hearn has this to say. He's put a 2 to 3 week time frame when he wants the Deontay Wilder fight wrapped up for Anthony Joshua's mega fight in January in Saudi Arabia. Eddie obviously smells money. He wants it wrapped up. Okay, Hearn says if it's not completed within 2 to 3 weeks, he could start looking for a fight for Joshua. As you know, he's 26-3, 23 knockouts in November or December. But the Saudis are the ones who are negotiating the fight, so if the deal isn't done in the next 3 weeks, it could be a sign that either Joshua or Wilder are pricing themselves out. Hearn isn't saying who'd be looking to match against Joshua if the Wilder fight fails to materialize, but Tyson Fury would be a logical name once he finishes with his match against former UFC champ Francis Ngannou. Negotiating a fight with Fury could be more problematic, that's for sure, than putting together a deal with Wilder. Hearn might as well try setting up a trilogy match against Andy Ruiz Jr. We've all discussed this before with respect to who's in the mix over there in GB. But this is what an American former boxer, now pundit, had to say about Joshua's last fight against Robert Helenius. Sergio Mora said, "It was solid, but shaky 6.5. I can concentrate on the negatives here, but I like to keep things positive. He got the knockout, and he got it in true heavyweight fashion." Across the pond over in Great Britain, Carl Froch, one of their former champs and heroes in the boxing world, said about Joshua, that performance was awful. It was terrible. It was such a bad performance in so many ways. He was tentative. He was gun shy. He looked like he didn't want to be in there at times. Yowza. Right on. Now, speaking of the heavyweight division, I wanted to bring to your attention a young man, formerly from Jamaica, now residing in Canada, and a Canadian, who is in the heavyweight division, who is undefeated, and he's looking forward for his next fight coming up in September. It'll be his 9th professional bout. As I said, he's 8-0, and he looks to build on his momentum. His name is Ricardo Brown. He says, I have a good record, but I need to keep it, so I want to get back in the ring. I'm putting in the hard work, and there'll always be a good show. He's training in Brantford, where you might recall Talk and Fight went out to live stream a show in Brantford a few months back. He trains at the Black Eyed Boxing Club and notes, says his trainer, I think Ricardo's attitude is phenomenal. If he can get the right fights and if he's managed properly, he could get into the top 10 in the world. Who knows? He said, we could be looking at the next heavyweight champ of the world. So there you go. That's for all my British listeners who think there aren't any hopefuls being trained here in Canada. Yes, there are many in America coming up in the heavyweight division, as we noted, Jared Anderson being our top pick. But also here in Canada, we've got a few as well who might surprise you. Right, let's move on to the middleweight division. WBO middleweight champ, Janabek Kanaluli, 14-0, 9 knockouts. And IBF middleweight champ, Vincenzo Guterres, 21-0, 1 draw, 7 knockouts. will meet in a world title unification on ESPN. The bout will take place on October 14th in Rosenberg, Texas. The bout will unify half the 160-pound division, with Jermall Charlo holding the WBC belt and Islandi Lara holding the WBA strap. So stay tuned to see what happens down in Texas. Now, on to Philadelphia. For many fight fans out there, John Boots Ennis is the hottest, most talented, and exciting young welterweight out there today. Indeed, so far in his 31-0 pro career, the man from Philly has shown a whole lot of good stuff we so admire in any fighter: speed, power, ring IQ, chin, desire, toughness, and of course, desire. Did I say desire? As in, Boots has a desire to fight the very best. That leads us to the current 147-pound king, and you might add the reigning pound-for-pound king, Terence Crawford. This talked of fight and the idea of it between the reigning master and the young stud has got plenty of us in a lather. By the way, this is coming courtesy of, I got to say, James Slater over at Boxing 247, boxing247.com. Good stuff. Yet it won't happen, he says. Probably. Crawford, who spoke as a guest on The Breakfast Club, said that a fight between himself and the unbeaten 26-year-old is a lose-lose proposition for him. Now, before anyone has the temerity, well, big word in the boxing world, to hurl the D word at Bud, hear him out. Listen, right now in my career, a lot of people are like, Boots this, Boots that, Boots this, Fighting Boots is a lose-lose situation. If I win, they can say, oh, well, he was young, he wasn't ready. Me fighting Boots would be like, okay, well, you beat Boots. It's not a mega fight. I'm looking for big challenges. I'm trying to go up in weight and fight Jermall Charlo because that's something history in the making. That's a lot at stake, There's nothing really at stake with me fighting Boots. Wow. There's some honesty. All right, I want to now... I started off this show with a new series out of California. There is something called the Team Combat League, and they have entered their semifinals, and they're providing some thrilling victories for boxing fans. The Team Combat League semifinals brought an electrifying night of combat sports action to Thunder Studios, culminating in two thrilling victories that have set the stage for an epic showdown in Mega Brawl 1. The Atlanta Attack emerged victorious against Las Vegas Hustle after a dramatic overtime battle that led to two additional matches, while New York City's Attitude secured their place in the Mega Brawl 1 by overcoming DC Destroyers in a back-and-forth thriller that was not decided until round 18. In the first semifinal match, the Las Vegas Hustle and the Atlanta Attack collided in an epic clash. Said Ahmed Sheikh, CEO of Team Combat League, said the semifinal match between Las Vegas and Atlanta was a testament to the heart and tenacity of our fighters. Okay, we congratulate the Atlanta Attack, who displayed remarkable resilience and skill all year long and deserving finalists. In the second semifinal of the night, as I said, New York City Attitude squared off against DC Destroyers. The matchup included a stunning knockout victory by Conja Nathan of New York City Attitude over Hazim Rahman Jr., granting New York City the ultimate margin of victory courtesy of a 10-7 round. DC actually won more individual rounds in New York City, but was done in by additional points awarded to New York City for knockdowns and stoppages. The score was tied heading into the final round of the night, at which point Ralph Clemente and Nasheed Smith engaged in an epic battle for the ages. Clemente knocked down Smith and then was nearly knocked out himself. Clemente hung on, however, securing New York City Attitude place in Mega Brawl 1 history in the making. The stage is now set for NYC Attitude versus Atlanta Attack in Mega Brawl 1 history in the making. So you're really going to have to Google Team Combat League and get more information as to how they've set up their scoring system and winners versus losers, as they say. But it looks pretty good for boxing, setting up a league like that, competitive city versus city. Something, by the way, that we have talked about quite often on Talk and Fight. Something else we've talked about quite often on Talk and Fight is Conor Benn. This troubled young man was suspended over in the UK for taking, now I forget the name of that drug, that is used as a fertility drug in women, but he uses it, I guess, to, well, he says he doesn't use it. So let's see what's happening. So Conor Benn is facing an appeal against the decision to lift his suspension from boxing. You might recall the other day he was motoring on about who he's going to be fighting next. But anyway, Benn failed 2 drug tests ahead of his mooted fight with Chris Eubank Jr. that was canceled last year. At the end of last month, the Independent National Anti-Doping Panel over in the UK issued a ruling that lifted his suspension from boxing, which pleased Benn to no end. But the British Boxing Board of Control and the UK Anti-Doping, that's UKAD, have lodged an appeal against that decision. In a statement, the board said the British Boxing Board of Control Limited can confirm that it has filed an appeal in respect of the decision of the Independent National Anti-Doping Panel in anti-doping proceedings brought by UKAD against Mr. Benn. The BBBOC has an independent right to appeal the decision, and as the governing body for professional boxing in the United Kingdom, and having due regard to its role and responsibilities, has elected to do so. The BBBOC can also confirm that UKAD has also appealed. The said appeal shall be dealt with in accordance with the relevant rules. In accordance with those, the BBOC is unable to comment further at this time. So good luck to Conor Benn and the other matchroom boxers that we mentioned yesterday on yesterday's episode. That's it for today. Thanks very much for joining me here on Talk and Fight. Appreciate it. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll see you later on at 4 p.m. and then 7 p.m. for the Friday night panel featuring Tim Witherspoon and several other guests that we always invite, including many of our own Talking Fight panelists. So we'll see you at 4 and then 7 here on Talk and Fight.